AQ's Blog and Grill.
What's the worst day you've ever had?
There's one issue that happened years ago, and it was we had done a renovation at a restaurant I was operating in Toronto, and the next night we opened up and it was fantastically busy. It was wonderful, and I heard a crash, and I thought it sounded like someone was carrying 2 or 3 trays of wine glasses and something fell, and I went around the corner and I looked, and there was an older gentleman laying on the ground, and one of the lights had fallen directly on his head. It was a table of 6, and the fella, Howard W., we'll call him. I still remember him very vividly, from a small northern town in Ontario. He was there with his wife and his 2 children celebrating his 5th year in remission. And they were on their way to see the Patsy Cline show. Okay. And we sent him out in an ambulance that day.
Ouch.
And I called him the next day and I said, Mr. W., I don't even know what to say. And even as the ambulance, his son was there saying, how much do we owe? No, please, we'll follow up. Can I get a name? And what was great was months later, he called me up and he said, Jody, do you remember me? My name is Howard. I'm the guy that got bonked in the head. That's exactly what he said. I said, I remember you. And he said, we were hoping to do a redo. So we had 6 front row tickets for the Patsy show. We had them down for dinner. We had limousine service. And so that's instantly what came to my mind that day. But even that, you look at those moments, and we service, on great weeks, we're fortunate to service 25,000 guests a week. And things go wrong. Not to that extent, hopefully. But things go wrong, and I remember reading a book, Small Giants. I don't know if you've ever read this. It's about companies that choose to be great rather than big. And there was one of the quintessential restaurateurs out there. There's a fellow named Danny Meyer from New York City as the Gramercy Tavern, and Danny Meyer was featured in this in this book, Small Giants. And I read the piece from it, and he says, I can't help that on occasion someone will go to the Gramercy Tavern and find a rivet in the risotto. People with pans, they're shaking them up, a rivet might come out. At that point, I stopped and I almost wept with a sense of weight lifted off my shoulders. This happens to Danny Meyer too. Yes, okay. But what he says, I can't help that that's going to happen, and I can't help that the next day at the water cooler they're going to say, do you know what happened? I went to the Gramercy Tavern yesterday and I found a rivet in my risotto. He said, but what I focus on is finishing that sentence. But do you know what they did about it? And that's where we have that opportunity to stand up from the crowd and say, it doesn't matter. We're here for the long haul. We want to build relationships. We never worry. I mean, we're obviously using it as a guide on what daily sales are relative to last year and all the traditional financial markers. But at the end of the day, we're looking at 20 years, and what happens today or tomorrow is not nearly as great as the relationships that we're building each and every day. If you go on our website, there's a customer feedback or guest feedback form. And every one of those goes directly to the general manager of a particular restaurant, or the chef of a particular restaurant, and to me. And we pride ourselves on saying on it and getting back to somebody 5 minutes, 2 minutes. You can't get back to somebody fast enough. And the great thing is, more than 50% of those comments, more than 50% of the time, the people go to those websites, search out a way to tell us it's positive. And so that's it. And to get back and thank those people, and on occasion possibly send out a gift certificate, say thank you so much for taking the time, and we're going to pass this along. That's the important stuff.
AQ's Blog and Grill.